The sun was sinking low over the rolling hills of rural Georgia, painting the sky in hues of peach and lavender. From the porch of my weathered farmhouse, I could see the fields stretching out like a patchwork quilt, acres of red clay soil that had fed my family for generations. My name is Eleanor Hayes, 68 years old, with silver hair pulled into a tight bun and hands calloused from decades of tending gardens and mending fences. The air carried the scent of pine and damp earth, mixed with the faint, bittersweet trace of Samuel's pipe tobacco that still lingered in the curtains, the furniture, the very walls of our home. It had been 6 months and 3 days since my husband Samuel was taken by a sudden stroke. 6 months of waking to an empty bed, of cooking for one, of hearing the creak of floorboards echo with memories of our 42 years together. Our farmhouse, a 2-story relic with peeling white paint and a sagging wraparound porch, sat on 120 acres of fertile land in Jasper County, Georgia. The fields, once vibrant with corn, cotton and soybeans, now lay half fallow, weeds creeping where Samuel's careful hands had once coaxed life. Mornings began at dawn, as they always had. I'd rise with the first light filtering through the lace curtains, their edges yellowed with age, and shuffle to the kitchen. The old gas stove hissed as I heated water for coffee in the percolator. Samuel had repaired 12 times with his stubborn ingenuity. I'd sit at the scarred oak table, sipping strong black coffee, staring out at the fields where the rooster's crow mingled with the hum of distant tractors from neighbouring farms. My days followed a rhythm, predictable yet heavy. Mornings were for chores, feeding the 6 remaining chickens in the coop behind the barn, checking the sagging fences for breaks where deer slipped through, and pulling weeds from the vegetable garden where tomatoes, okra and collard greens fought the relentless Georgia heat. The garden was smaller now. I couldn't manage what Samuel and I once did together. Afternoons I'd mend, patching quilts passed down from my grandmother, oiling tools in the barn, or sitting on the porch swing, its chains creaking, as I listened to cicadas and watched hawks circle above. Evenings brought reflection, often painful. I'd leaf through photo albums, my fingers tracing Samuel's face, his crooked smile in overalls beside our first tractor, our arms linked at the county fair the day we inherited this farm from his parents. We never had children, God's plan, we'd told ourselves, but we had the land, the house, each other. It was enough. That evening, as I finished a simple dinner of canned tomato soup and cornbread, baked in the cast-iron skillet Samuel swore by, the old rotary phone on the kitchen wall rang. Its shrill tone cut through the silence, startling me. I wiped my hands on my faded apron, the one with embroidered daisies Samuel had given me for our 10th anniversary, and answered. "Hello?" "Eleanor, it's Victor." My brother's voice, always a touch too loud, boomed through the line. Victor Hayes, 10 years my junior, lived in Atlanta, where he ran Victor Hayes Contracting, a small construction business teetering between ambition and instability. He was the restless one in our family, always chasing the next big deal, while Samuel and I stayed rooted to the soil. "Victor, how are you?" I tried to keep the wariness from my voice. Since Samuel's death, Victor had been more present, calling weekly, visiting once to help with funeral arrangements. He'd sat at this very table, but his city shoes out of place on the worn linoleum, suggesting we sell part of the farm to cover taxes and my living expenses. Managing 120 acres alone was impossible, he'd said, and I'd agreed, too grief-stricken to argue. "I'm good, sis. Listen, I need to talk about the farm." His tone was brisk, businesslike, lacking the warmth of our childhood days when we'd race through these fields, catching fireflies in mason jars or whispering secrets under the ancient oak tree by the creek. The farm was Samuel's heart. Inherited from his parents, it was more than land. It was our legacy. Rolling hills dotted with barns and silos where we'd weathered droughts, floods and market crashes. Samuel would rise before dawn, his boots thudding on the stairs to tend the fields. I'd pack his lunch, ham sandwiches on homemade bread, apples from our orchard, and wave from the porch as he rumbled off on the tractor, its engine coughing like an old friend. Evenings we'd sit on the swing, his head on my shoulder, planning next season's crops or dreaming of a vacation we never took. But without Samuel, the farm was a burden. Taxes piled up, equipment rusted, and I couldn't keep up. Victor had offered to handle the paperwork, find buyers for portions to ease my load. It's a win-win, he'd said, pacing the kitchen with his tie loosened. You get cash for a cozy retirement, maybe even travel. I'll invest my share in the business, expand, make us both proud. I trusted him. He was blood. The boy I'd shielded from schoolyard bullies, the teen I'd lent money to for his first truck, the man Samuel and I took in when his first business venture failed. All right, Victor. What's the plan? Found a buyer. Good price. We split the profits. You'll live comfortably. Maybe get that beach trip you always talked about. I'll overnight the papers, sign where marked. I hesitated, twisting the gold wedding band on my finger, its edges worn smooth from years of nervous habit. The whole farm? Samuel loved this place. Not all, just enough. Trust me, Eleanor. I'm looking out for you. 2 days later, the courier arrived with a thick envelope of legal documents. Pages of jargon, easements, titles, clauses I barely understood. Sticky notes marked where to sign. My hand shook as I scrawled my name, grief clouding my judgment. Victor promised my share would hit my account soon. I waited, checking the mailbox daily, calling the bank when nothing came. Victor's responses grew vague. Market's tricky, sis. Soon. Weeks dragged on. The fields grew wilder, weeds choking the corn rows. My savings dwindled, groceries, utilities, property taxes eating away at what little I had. Then, one rainy afternoon, as thunder rumbled and rain pelted the tin roof, another envelope arrived from a real estate firm in Atlanta. My heart sank as I read. The entire 120 acres sold for $200,000, a fraction of its $1.2 million value. Worse, my signature on the final deed wasn't mine. Forged. Betrayal hit like a physical blow. I sank to the kitchen floor, sobs tearing through me. The linoleum was cold against my knees, the air heavy with the smell of rain and betrayal. Victor, my own brother, had stolen our legacy. The land where Samuel proposed under a meteor shower, where we'd buried our dreams of children, where every furrow held a memory of our life together. I dialed him, hands trembling. He answered, voice clipped. Eleanor, what's up? What have you done? I cried, voice breaking. You sold the farm, forged my name. A long pause. Then, coldly, market crashed. Had to move fast. Your share, business expenses ate it up. My new project, a condo development, it's gold. You'll get paid back triple. Just hang in there. Triple. You took our home, Samuel's life. Time's changed, sis. Gotta go. Click. The phone slipped from my hand, clattering to the floor. Rain pounded the windows. Wind howling through the eaves. Memories flooded. Victor as a child, wide-eyed at the farm's vastness, helping Samuel bale hay. As a young man borrowing $5,000 from us for his business, promising repayment with interest. We'd given freely. Family helping family. Now at my lowest, he'd discarded me like a used receipt. But as I sat there, something stirred. 3 weeks before his stroke, Samuel had climbed the attic ladder, unusual with his bad knee, and handed me a manila envelope. Keep this safe, Eleanor, he'd said, his hazel eyes twinkling with a secret. If anything happens, open when you're ready. Our little secret. Grief had buried it in my mind. Now, driven by desperation, I grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen drawer, its beam slicing through the darkness as I ascended the creaky ladder. The attic smelled of dust and old wood, a time capsule of our life. Trunks of faded clothes, Samuel's army uniform from Korea, photo albums yellowed with age. Behind one, the envelope. My hands trembled as I tore it open. Samuel's letter, his neat script bringing fresh tears. My dearest Ella, reading this, I'm gone and I'm sorry for the pain. But I couldn't leave you unprotected. Years ago, I started investing, stocks, bonds, real estate, quietly to avoid worries. We own more, 2 rental apartments in Atlanta, a portfolio worth over $1.2 million, offshore accounts, all in a trust, your name only, details attached, use wisely, you're stronger than you think. Forever, Samuel. Attached were bank statements, deeds, login credentials. My eyes widened. 1.2 million in investments, 2 apartments generating $5,000 monthly rent, offshore accounts with another $300,000. Samuel, the simple farmer, a financial wizard? He'd hidden it to shield us from greed, like Victor's. A fire ignited in my chest. Not rage, but resolve. Victor thought he'd left me penniless. He was wrong. But I wouldn't confront him yet. I'd let him taste his own medicine, watch him struggle while I reclaimed what was mine in secret. This wasn't just about money. It was about teaching my brother the value of family, loyalty, responsibility. Dawn broke clear, birds chirping in the pecan trees outside. I dressed in my Sunday best, a floral dress Samuel loved, its hem frayed from years of wear, and low black heels polished to a shine. The drive to Atlanta was 2 hours, past rolling hills, small towns with diners serving biscuits and gravy, and gas stations with rusted signs. My old pickup rattled, its engine coughing like Samuel's tractor. My mind raced with flashbacks. Samuel reading investment books by lantern light in the barn, excusing trips to town that must have been to banks or brokers. How had I missed it? His quiet pride, his sly smiles when I'd ask about our savings. Enough to get by, love. Mr. Harlan Reed's office was in a sleek high-rise, glass reflecting Atlanta's skyline. He was mid-50s, sharp in a tailored suit, with a kind smile that put me at ease. "Mrs. Hayes, how can I help?" I laid out Samuel's documents, the forged deed, my brother's betrayal. His eyes widened. "This is substantial. The farm sale. Fraudulent. Victor forged your full consent. We can nullify it, sue for damages. But you want secrecy?" "Yes," I said firmly. "Handle it quietly. Activate the trust assets without alerting anyone." We spent 3 hours planning. Reed would reverse the sale, transfer funds to a new account in my name, and investigate Victor's finances. "It'll take weeks, maybe months," he warned. "Fraud cases are complex." "Do it," I said, "and keep my name out until I'm ready." Back home, I maintained the facade of the destitute widow. Neighbours brought casseroles, Mrs. Ida Thompson's chicken and rice, Mr. Jenkins' pecan pie. Poor Eleanor, abandoned by her kin, they'd whisper at the general store, where I bought discounted canned goods to stretch my visible funds. I nodded, eyes downcast, hiding the fire within. Mornings I'd tend the garden, the sun warming my face as I pulled weeds, dirt under my nails. The chickens clucked, oblivious to my turmoil. Afternoons, I'd sit on the porch, reading library books on finance, terms like dividends and trusts slowly making sense. Evenings, I'd pore over Samuel's documents, marvelling at his foresight. A downtown Atlanta condo, leased to a young lawyer, a duplex in Decatur with steady tenants, stocks in tech and agriculture, yielding dividends. Victor called weekly, lies flowing like the creek behind the house. "Business is booming, sis. Your money's coming. Big payout soon." His voice dripped with false confidence, but I heard the strain. I played along, voice trembling for effect. "I'm struggling, Victor. Need that money." "Soon, I promise." Click. Inside, I seethed. Reed's updates came via secure email, accessed at the library to avoid suspicion. The farm sale was unravelling. Buyers, unaware of the fraud, were refunded and reverted to my trust. Victor's condo project was crumbling, over-leveraged, creditors circling. Subplot emerged. I befriended Tom Wilkins, a widowed farmer down the road. Over coffee on my porch, we'd talk loss, his wife to cancer, Samuel to the stroke. "Life's hard alone," he'd say, his blue eyes kind. We'd walk the fields, sharing stories of harvest seasons and broken dreams. A gentle romance bloomed, his hand brushing mine as we fixed a fence. It wasn't love like Samuel's, but companionship, a warmth to anchor my days. One evening, as fireflies lit the yard like tiny lanterns, Victor called, voice cracking. "Eleanor, need a loan. Creditors are hounding, might lose my house." My heart pounded. "Victor, I have nothing. You took it all. Please, family helps family. I'll think about it." Click. Let him stew, I thought, sipping tea on the porch, the night air cool against my skin. Weeks blended into a month, then 2. My routine held, mornings in the garden, afternoons studying finance, evenings with Reed's updates. The farm was fully mine again, equipment leased to a co-op for income. The Atlanta properties brought $5,000 monthly, deposited into a secret account. I hired a manager to oversee the farm. A young man named Caleb, who reminded me of Samuel, quiet, diligent, with a love for the land. Victor's world imploded. Reed's investigators reported his condo project failed, leaving him $300,000 in debt. His wife, Karen, left with their 2 kids, tired of his broken promises. He bounced between motels, taking odd jobs, painting houses, hauling lumber. His calls grew desperate. "Eleanor, I'm losing everything. House, car, family. Help me." "Pray about it," I said, echoing Samuel's advice during hard times, like we always did. Tom became a steady presence. We'd cook together, his cornbread rivaled mine, or sit by the creek sharing stories. Flashback, Samuel and I by that same creek, young and in love, planning our future. Tom's kindness softened my resolve, but I stayed firm. Victor needed to learn. One stormy night, thunder shaking the house, a knock echoed. I opened the door to Victor, rain-soaked, thinner, eyes hollow. Eleanor, please, let me in. He collapsed into Samuel's armchair, sobbing. I messed up, thought I could make it big, pay you back triple. Forged your name, thought it was a quick fix, I'm sorry. His confession poured. Ambition blinded him, Top. Envy of Samuel's steady life fueled his greed. Samuel would hate me. I fetched the envelope, laid out the documents. His jaw dropped. You knew all this time? Yes, needed you to learn. Family isn't a bank. Loyalty isn't optional. Tears streamed down his face. Can you forgive me? Forgiveness is earned, Victor. Stay. Work the farm. Prove you're the brother I remember. He nodded, broken but grateful. Victor moved into the guest room, his belongings in 2 duffel bags. Mornings, he worked the fields with Caleb, mending fences, planting soybeans, sweat soaking his shirt. I watched from the porch, torn between pity and pride. Flashback, Victor at 15, helping Samuel bale hay, laughing under the summer sun. Could that boy return? Evenings we talked, really talked. He admitted envying Samuel's stability, chasing wealth to prove himself. I lost sight of what matters, he said, staring at Samuel's pipe on the mantel. Tom joined dinners, his presence easing tension. Subplot, Ida Thompson, suspicious of my calm demeanour, started rumours. Eleanor ain't as poor as she seems, she'd whisper at church. I deflected, but her words spread. Victor's transformation was slow but real. He fixed the barn roof, shared stories of his kids, vowed to win them back. I gave him a job, farm manager, under my oversight. Earn your way, I said. Reed called. Victor's debts were mounting, but my assets were secure. I invested further, the portfolio growing to $1.5 million. I bought a small diner in town, a dream Samuel and I once shared, hiring locals to run it. One day, Victor found a wooden chest in the barn, Samuel's last gift. Inside, letters, photos, a deed to a lake cabin. For our golden years, Samuel wrote. We drove there, a cosy retreat by shimmering waters. Victor helped renovate, turning it into a family haven. Years passed. Victor remarried a kind teacher, Sarah, his kids calling me Aunt Ellie. The farm thrived, the diner became a community hub. The cabin hosted holidays, laughter echoing where silence once reigned. One evening by the lake, Victor toasted, to Samuel who saved us. To second chances, I added. Tom proposed a simple ring under the stars. I said yes, knowing Samuel would approve. Rumours faded, but Ida visited, curious. You played us all, Eleanor? No, I said. I taught my brother what matters. Angela's subplot inspired a foundation, helping betrayed families rebuild. Victor volunteered, mentoring men who'd lost their way. As sunset painted the lake gold, I felt Samuel's presence. Well done. Betrayal tore us apart, but hidden truths mended us. For Tale of Tears viewers, have you faced betrayal? How did you heal? Like, subscribe, hit the bell for more stories of resilience. See you in the next tale.